A different future starts with you. That's why GoDaddy does more than help you find a name. You can create, sell, and get found online, so any small business can drive change or build an empire. We need a new generation of thinking. Your way of thinking. Start different at GoDaddy.com.
Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net. Christopher Media. Let's make some noise. From Asthma Core Studios near Detroit, Michigan. It's unregimented.
Gangsters, what's up, guys?
And now, here are your hosts, Aaron, Chris, and Rich.
Well, welcome to Unregimented number 166. My name is Chris.
I'm Aaron.
I'm Rich.
I'm Earl. Earl from the Sporgy Podcast. Oh, we got cross-promotion going on today.
We're nationwide today, too.
Yeah. From Kansas all the way to Detroit. Half the country, well, third of the country, maybe. Maybe a quarter. But, yeah, some mileage tonight. So, where the fuck do we begin today, guys?
Well, the story I sent you guys is kind of broke open. The
beating.
The kidnapping and beating.
The BLM kidnapping, as it's being thrown around on social media.
Well, that's bullshit. I'll be the first. That's bullshit. I'll be the first to say that.
What are you talking about?
The 4 people in Chicago.
No. Chris said something specific. The BLM beating?
BLM kidnapping is what it's being called.
Well, it's not bacon, lettuce, mutton. We all know what BLM means.
I don't know what BLM means. Black
Lives Matter?
Oh.
Brother, have you not been doing this podcast for 2.5 years?
But in conjunction with the word kidnapping makes no sense at all.
That's
how is it a Black Lives?
It's not. It's what fucking dipshits who are trying to stir the pot even more than it's already being stirred, or trying to.
They're saying
push that narrative.
With one of their Facebook accounts, he was linked to the Black Lives Movement, and it's bullshit. That's not this at all.
Right. Okay.
It's just something that fucking. Remember that video we watched of the alt-right where they were fucking hail Trump and throwing Nazi salutes?
Yeah.
Those type of motherfuckers are saying that shit, trying to stir the pot. That's all it is.
So, yeah, this is what the Black Lives Matters movement is all about: is kidnapping disabled people and beating them.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the narrative they're trying to push, because there's no agenda behind that whatsoever. But anyways,
I'll say the things they were shouting weren't helping them, though.
Apparently, I stumbled across this story right after it started breaking, and what I noticed is, first of all, if you haven't heard, get out from under the mushroom you live under.
This story's all over the place now.
Now it is, yeah. 24 hours ago it wasn't, though. Right. And it happened apparently 2 days ago, give or take. Apparently, allegedly, because no one's been convicted, I'll say that, 4 black youths who live in Chicago, one of them had an acquaintance who is a special needs white kid who apparently is autistic, is what is being reported now. I'm not sure. When they say special needs, it could mean anything to me from physical disability to mental disability. You don't know. It's a catch-all phrase.
Right. It's described I'm reading it on heavy.com for some reason. Mental health challenges. That's what this man was experiencing. I don't know if they knew at this point what he was suffering from.
So apparently,
Rich, do you really have to use the word allegedly with the video? That's like saying those guys allegedly were beating Rodney King.
Here's the deal, man. I'm trying to play this straight down the middle as I can, because this story really fucking, it stirred up a lot of shit in me, and you guys know. I mean, I hit you up in the group chat. I was like, I don't even know how to go about talking about this, because the first reports, it was only reported in the local Chicago news on CBS, on WGN, and I mean, I was scouring the internet looking for any reports, and it was a 40-second blurb on the news on the Chicago CBS affiliate, and that's it. And the way they presented it was 4 individuals kidnapped a special needs man and bullied him on a Facebook Live video for 30 minutes. Police are looking into this matter. No one has been arrested. More as we get We'll update it more as we go along.
Well, maybe that's all they knew. I don't know.
Okay, first of all, there's a video that anyone could have watched. Facebook took it down, which they have every right to do. And I've tried to explain this to a few people. We've discussed it on the show before. Facebook's a private organization.
Yes, yeah.
They're not held. They're not a government agency. They don't have to allow freedom of speech. It's their ball, their rules, their court. Right. If they don't like you, or if they don't like something you post, have a nice one. They can get rid of you.
We suddenly started thinking of Facebook as like this public entity that just everybody owns it.
And it's like, it's my page. Leave my page alone. Motherfucker, I own your page. Go away.
Yeah, because when you pay nothing for something, you own it, right?
So there was they Facebook lived 30 minutes, the torturing of this guy. They started off cutting his clothes off with a razor. It looks like a box cutter. If you worked stock, someplace, you would know the type of box cutter I'm talking about.
Yeah.
There's been conflicting reports. Some reports say they burned him with cigarettes, or he had cigarette burns on him. I didn't see it in the video, but I can only bring myself to watch so much of the video. I did see they did take the box cutter and start cutting his scalp and cutting pieces of hair off his head, and at one point a piece of his scalp came off. Yelling racial things, fuck Trump, white boy this,
fuck white people.
I mean, every other word.
The racial party says, fuck Donald Trump, nigger, fuck white people, boy, was the quote.
Yeah. I mean, look, here's the deal. If you're listening to us, you know that for the most part, we try not to sit here and like wallow in using racial epithets, but the video was littered with them. It was like watching a fucking 90s, hood movie. Every other word was nigga. And that's just the reality of the situation. All right. But okay, here's the deal. The crime and everything itself, take that out of this for a second. My problem, obviously I have a problem with the crime. No one should do that to another human being, period. Bottom line. My problem is with the reporting methods that have been and are being used so far. Because, and this is where I have an issue, because we all take media to task for stirring the pot. But here they're sitting on a story where they're almost reluctantly reporting the facts because it doesn't fit the narrative of...
Right. Well, but it wasn't that long ago that there was controversy over the way the news was reporting race in headlines, in the opposite way, where there would be a crime committed by a white man, and it would say man, rapes horse, or whatever the crime was. And if it was a black man, it would be black man rapes horse. Traditionally, not
a situation like this. None of this is conjecture. There's video proof of it, man. Like I think that's what Rich is getting at. Like this is there's nothing to tiptoe around.
No, but specifically, Rich, correct me if I'm wrong.
Hang on a second, though.
Yes.
You can't really say anything until you get the full story on something like this, because there's a lot of fakes out. And I told Rich when I saw it, kind of looks staged. So if you start saying these black kids kidnapped this white kid and did all this shit, people are going to be outraged. And then for what? It was a hoax.
Yeah, but
I think at
when
this
the police
point
get involved,
we don't think it's
no longer a hoax.
Yeah, the AP is reporting on it at this point.
And I mean, to Earl's credit, a few people I talked to have said the same thing when the story was initially breaking. Okay, my brother actually said, with all the fake news and shit that's floating around, he's like, first of all, I've never heard of Heavy. I'm like, I haven't either. I don't even know what type of website it is. It seems to be like just a lifestyle and news website. I don't know. I don't know their political leanings whatsoever. I said, but I do know that, of course, the far right websites were the first people to pick up and run with this. And that's what makes me uneasy also, because sometimes a desire for justice makes for strange bedfellows. And in this case, I do agree with people on the far right websites that are saying this is bullshit, because if the races were reversed, it would lead with that.
Absolutely. There'd be a press conference by Obama. We'd be on the fourth one since it broke.
We'd have already
press conference.
We'd already, not just Obama, all the usual suspects would have come out. Reverend Al, Jesse Jackson, and there'd have been calls for, this is systematic racism. Right. This is part of the new Trump America. This is the normalization of the Trump values, et cetera, et cetera.
Right. They do seem very lenient with the story. It's allegedly this and that, even though, as Chris points out, it was all broadcast on Facebook. Like people have seen it, even though they've taken it down. It's been all over YouTube. You can see it.
And the thing that really irks me is that the media is pushing this narrative of he's a special needs child or a special needs adult.
Yeah.
That's where the hate crime comes in. First of all, I think I've said this on the show before. Hate crime laws are bullshit to me. If I kill someone, it's not because I love them.
Yeah.
All right. If I rape someone, it's not because I love them. If I beat the shit out of someone, it's not because I love them. Okay. There's hate. There's anger there already. All right. So for me to come out and say, yeah, they better charge these guys with a hate crime, I would be hypocritical to say that. But if I'm going just by the strict letter of the law, there's more than enough evidence there to charge them with one.
Right. That's where I'm at.
If that was us, we'd all be charged with a hate crime.
And they're pushing it as they're not going to charge him because he's white, that they did this to him. That's not the hate crime they're charging. It's a hate crime because he's special needs. And it's like, look, that's bullshit. We all know. This is the problem with
but wait a minute. But
the lack of honesty we have.
I don't agree with it either. I don't know. I personally doubt how much race was involved as a motivator for these people, right? And just, yelling out, fuck white people was just a little icing on the cake for whatever they had planned. But if we're going to have such thing as a hate crime and we're going to define it, then how can we not apply it in this case? I don't agree with it either. I think hate crime is just one step removed from policing thoughts and is only provable by really the words that the person committing the crime uses. And in this case, he said, fuck white people. I mean, it's kind of unmistakable. Like, even if his intentions were the farthest from that, and it was just a heat of the moment, fuck white people slipped out of my mouth. Well, that's too bad for you. That, you committed a crime, you have to go to jail for it, and you probably have to serve longer now because you had to say fuck white people while you did it.
Aaron, it's the double standard of our media. I mean, it has not been so more obvious in the last 5 years of how much of a double standard in the media there is.
Right. And I shouldn't say and it's not only the media having a double standard, but being so afraid of backlash that they won't report the full story.
Yeah, well, like Rich said, this broke 2 days ago, and it's just now breaking.
Right.
And that's because the police have finally charged them with crimes.
Right, they charged them with crimes, but they still have not charged them with a hate crime.
Yeah, they have.
They haven't really, because the last story that I read said that the sheriff said that they have not yet determined and made it sound like it would be a
It is. No, it's going to be a hate crime, but it's for what Rich said because he's mentally challenged.
Earl, hold on a second. Is it going to be, or have they been charged?
No, they've been charged.
They've been charged, but they have. Well, here's the thing.
In Earl's defense, it broke 6 minutes ago on the AP that they have been charged with hate crimes.
Okay, there you go.
I got to tell you guys, since I've been invited to this, I've been watching CNN and FSN.
I'm sorry.
Ooh, he's studying.
Sorry, yeah. we didn't think we needed to make you do homework.
Got to do homework. But no, seriously though, in today's society, they have to be careful. Because of all of the fake news, the fake police stories of pulling up and shooting people.
This leads a little bit too much into certain people's narratives, people who want to believe this type of shit. I mean, the guy who walks into the pizza joint with a shotgun wanted to believe that. If he had any skeptical bone in his body, he would have stopped and thought about what he was fucking doing. But he wanted so hard to believe that Hillary Clinton and all these Democrats were so evil and corrupt that they were trafficking children, that as soon
out
as he
of a
heard
pizza place.
As soon as he heard a story that confirmed his beliefs, he was in action and ready to go. So
that's something I can understand. Here's my beef. The police, excuse me, not the police. The media is if we could grab someone from the media, put them on the show, and say, why are you dragging your feet about reporting this? And they would go, we want to get the facts straight. We don't want to incorrectly report something. Okay, then why, if the roles were reversed, and we've seen news stories like that, are you quick to say 4 white teens captured a black youth and tortured him on Facebook for 30 minutes?
Right. Or how about every black person that has unfortunately been shot by a police officer, and how do we hear about it?
Yeah.
Piecemeal. We hear someone was shot. What did he do? I don't know. Nobody's saying this video. Nobody knows what's on it. And then it takes weeks for the full story to come out. Now, maybe this is... And this is the case where you have video that not only was captured, but was broadcast and is out there.
By the people perpetrating the crime.
Right.
Is this giving anybody else a Rodney King feeling?
No, because Rodney King was a bystander capturing the police, beating somebody's ass who had ran from. This is the people committing the crime, broadcasting it themselves.
This is an unfortunate story.
This would be like the cops who were beating Rodney King, broadcasting the video.
Yeah, periscoping it.
This is only interesting to me in the way that it reflects the decisions of the media. Outside of that, it's a non-story to me. It's random violence. It's just people being dirtbags. It's a very unfortunate story, but it's not saying anything about what's going on in our nation, I don't think.
No, I don't think that this is a symptom of a race war that's coming, like some people on the far left and far right want to frame it as. This is just this is 4 idiots who were obviously fucked up. And when I say fucked up, I mean they're smoking and drinking during the whole fucking half-hour video. All right, and they're not, and as my great grandmother would say, they smoking them left-hand cigarettes. All right, so these are 4 people who committed a dumbass crime, and their dumbasses thought that they were actually, well, at least one of them thought they were actually going to put it on Facebook and get away with it.
But we're not really disagreeing on it. I mean, Chris, you said that this is media bias, and I'd say it is media bias. I just don't think that it's out of their own personal beliefs. They're letting bias seep in from their fear of reprisal.
They're lying in the bed they made, in my opinion. Like they are a product of the monster they created.
Yeah, you like to stir up the pot when it's going to generate ratings, but when you think that, if we make a mistake on this one, our sponsor is going to pull out and we're going to suffer monetarily, well, then let's be really careful how we report this one.
You know what this whole situation reminded me of, Aaron? Have you ever seen the Spike Lee movie Bamboozled?
Yes. Yeah, I love it. That was so fucking intense.
One of my favorite Spike Lee movies that I think is criminally underrated. Yeah. That's beside the point. Remember at the end when they captured or kidnapped and then broadcast? This is the type of shit I'm thinking. I'm like, how the fuck? What is the point behind? Except for that was a political statement. They for people who haven't seen the movie.
Describe it.
For people who haven't seen the movie, basically a black executive who works for a major network, television network, is tired of the network saying, well, you need to come up with more black things. So he goes, if they want black, I'll give them black. So he decides to put on an old school minstrel blackface show using black people in blackface.
Right. Tap dancing and whole 9 yards.
Oh yeah. I don't know nothing about birthing no babies, all of it. I mean, every stereotype you could throw out there. And
the people love it.
Yeah. He thinks it's going to get him fired. He's going to get out of his contract and be able to, go do what he wants to do.
Right.
And the reverse happens. Like how we talked about Network.
Well, not only that, but the star of his show starts believing that he's repurposing what he's doing, right?
Yeah, up until the last show.
Right. He feels like, I'm taking this back.
Yeah. He feels like it's like it's like using the word nigger in the black community. It's taking the power away from the white person because hey, we're taking it back. Well, long story short, there's a militant group in the movie. They kidnap the star of the show, and then they live broadcast torturing and killing him. And all I could think was, not necessarily with the political statement that was, that group was trying to make in that movie, but all I could think is like, that movie Bamboozled come out in what, 1999, 2000? It's 17, 18 years old. And here we are in a situation where people are actually committing crimes that kidnapping in some states is 25 years to life, all right?
Yeah, that's
torturing somebody.
Yeah, and they're already guilty of a federal crime. I don't know how much more a hate crime is going to fuck up their lives.
But to me, it's like, here's the other thing: do these people who when they said, "Hey, let's Facebook Live this, let's stream this live as we're doing it," did it not occur to them? Are they so entrenched in we need to be stars, we're going to be famous, that they didn't realize you're fucking yourself?
Right. Yeah, not only did one person think that, but 4 people got together and none of them said, hey, wait a minute. Maybe this is a bad idea.
The subtitle of this video could be called Exhibit A. Like, are they ignorant of how the court system works?
I'm telling you, I'm going to be honest with you. If I'm doing some dirt and I got 3 other motherfuckers and one of them whips out a cell phone talking about Facebook Live, that motherfucker's going in the ground with the motherfuckers we're putting in the ground. That's all there is to it. Fuck that. Put your phone away. Turn that shit off. In fact, leave your shit at home. The fuck you bringing a phone to a crime for?
And that's what leads the people to believe it was staged.
Right. Nobody could be this stupid. It sounds so outrageous, like the Pizzagate thing.
No, we can be that stupid. We proved it on November 8th. Anyway. Like, yeah, it's in that Twitter shit you sent, like, group chat, Rich. Like, I'm about done with humanity. That's, check, please. Like, the fact that people are defending these people, like, where's your humanity?
What are you talking about?
Let's take race out of this and just, these are humans treating other humans like this.
But
those people
in the group chat, in one of the stories I'd read, they were talking about the reaction. Basically, the story was about the reaction to this online, and
the same story that we've been talking about.
Yes.
Okay.
And someone had taken screenshots of a conversation between 2 people, and one of the guys was, okay, I'll just read it to you. Okay, so the first guy goes, how about kidnapping and torturing a disabled white kid while shouting, fuck white people? Is that racism? This gentleman comes back and says, have you ever heard of innocent till proven guilty? All the facts haven't come out yet. The first guy says, there's a 15-minute Facebook video of them torturing them. The response is, black folks have been tortured since we got to this country. She may have had a breakdown as a result of that.
What?
The first guy comes back and says she had a breakdown and kidnapped a tortured disabled kid. Okay. And hold on, because it keeps going. And he goes, this is a real conversation about mental health. I don't like the fact that she was smoking either. This is the gentleman who had said that maybe she had a breakdown because, blacks have been tortured in this country.
Right, I see. And the next guy says, are you actually trying to defend the attackers? There is video evidence of them torturing him.
And he comes back with, they are victims of torture. The Middle Passage was torture. Slavery was torture. Jim Crow was torture. Okay, so you think it wasn't a racist attack on white people and that black people were justified. The last tweet, it says, Brittany Herring, one of the alleged perpetrators, is a victim of white supremacy. It's not her fault that black folks are violently oppressed.
And I'm done. Check, please.
Guys, can I just say this? I wanted to believe that was bullshit. That was someone trolling. I looked up the guy's Twitter handle, and it led me to because Uhuro is his Twitter handle. There's a Uhuro solidarity movement. They have a website. It's a .org website. It's Solidarity with African Liberation. They have a Facebook page, Wikipedia page. The movement has been led by the movement has been led by the African People's Socialist Party, and then they start listing leaders and stuff. And so, I mean, this guy is coming from, let's just preface everything. Well, we can't preface because we already said, but I just want to blanket everything that we just said. This guy is coming from a very extremist point of view. And I understand that. I can't speak for you gentlemen. I understand that. This is not how most people feel. Because I guarantee you, I've lived in the hood, man. I've lived in the hood on and off most of my life. Motherfuckers in the hood are probably like, shit, that was my kid? Shit, them motherfuckers wouldn't make it to trial. It'd be some Samuel L. Jackson shit up in here. Yes, they deserve to die and I hope to burn in hell. Like that, I'm not, and if you think I'm bullshitting,
Bernie Mac shit. There's some furniture moving around in this motherfucker.
Exactly. There's about to be a misunderstanding. We're about to have a discrepancy. And so, please, if you're listening and you think I'm sitting here going, well, that's the majority of how people feel who are on the left or how black people feel, pull your head out your ass. That's not what I'm saying. Obviously, this gentleman who posted in defense of in any way of this crime, he's an extremist on one side. But what have we talked about multiple times over the last couple months? You can go so far to the extreme that you come back around and you end up being flip sides of the same coin. The far right and the far left are not that different.
And we've also the stuff that gentleman says has kind of made me realize, and I don't know why we haven't brought this up sooner. When did we lose sight in this country of two wrongs don't make a right? What happened to taking the higher road?
Dude, 3 rights make a left, though. So calm down.
Well, it is. It's the 5-year-old defense. It's when you get caught with your hand in the cookie jar and your mother goes, "What'd I tell you? Get your hand out the fucking cookie jar. No, you can't have no more fucking cookies." And you go, "But my little brother just had 3." So you rat him out. And really, if you, I mean, this is kind of a reach, but if you really think about it, it's been that way ever since the drug war got ramped up because we have such heavy, sentencing policies with mandatory minimums. We encourage people to rat out each other. So that mentality trickles down in the criminal element because, well, what I did wasn't as bad as what that person did, so I'll tell on them, and I'll get. It'll lessen my sentence.
If you think this is going to happen in this trial, you're sadly wrong. You're sadly mistaken. Seriously, there's 4 people. One of them had a box cutter. Think about that. The girl with the camera never touched the guy. There's going to be a lot of. I didn't do it. He did it. I just filmed it.
Yeah, you didn't try to. Yeah, the judge is going to tell him you didn't try to stop it. You're just as guilty.
Here's the thing: Charles Manson, as far as the state could prove, never killed anybody. Yet he's serving a life sentence, and he was on death row at one point for murder. I mean, this is okay. Look, I'm not a lawyer. I have a few friends who are. That's their domain. Okay, that's their domain. That's where the facts are. What when you walk into a courtroom, it's not what you know; it's what you can prove. That's the bottom line. We're talking right now about what we saw in that video. What happens in a courtroom, we all know, is mandated by the laws that are surrounding what they're being charged with. It doesn't matter what your feelings are. It's not supposed to matter. Let's put it that way.
I say, you've been paying attention the last couple of years, Rich? that statement's becoming more and more false, unfortunately.
You're talking to a gentleman who, dude, I had to go to a family court proceeding. Oh,
sorry. I didn't even realize I was plugged in. Sorry.
I had to go to a family court proceeding, not a custody battle as far as, a child or anything, but to do with my grandmother. And I sat there and watched a judge make rulings based on how she felt about how the people presented themselves when they walked up and totally dismiss facts. Okay, so the farther away from the criminal case you get,
is she in Trump's cabinet now?
It's already been established. The farther, in my mind at least, the farther away from the criminal court you get, the more the judge's feelings come into play. In a criminal court, ideally, like I said, it's not what you know; it's what you can prove.
Well, what else is going on, though? We've done a half hour on this one story.
Yeah, but where are you going to find 12 people that are going to be able to look that video and go, "Oh, hell no"? And Aaron, I get why you want to move on, and I don't feel like we fucking held the media's feet to the fire enough on this. But by saying that, I think I kind of did, so it's kind of ironic. But I just want to say, Earl, to your point, most likely, let's be honest, there's going to be plea deals because that's how the legal system works in this country.
They overcharge you. You plea down, and then you take your time. I mean, unless there's some sort of not guilty by reason of insanity. And if that happens, we could be sitting here talking about this 6 months, a year from now.
Insane. Like all four of them are insane.
Well, okay.
Well, they were high. I know that for a fact. They were smoking weed on camera.
First of all,
well, I know that makes people insane.
First of all,
I've seen Reefer Madness.
There are 4 people sitting in 4 different interrogation rooms with cops sweating them in 4 different ways. They're going to try their best to get those people to turn on each other. That's all there is to it, because that's what cops do. Hey, while you're sitting here thinking that stop snitching shit, your boys already made a fucking deal. We know all the details.
You
so
fucked
you might as well
up.
tell us, yeah.
You fucked up, right?
Exactly. Because that's what police do. This is not nothing new. This is not far-fetched conspiracy theory shit. This is what they do. I mean, watch the first 48. Watch documentaries where they use police interrogation footage. That's what they do. They separate the people. If it was multiple people involved in the crime, they separate them and they play them against each other. So most likely what's going to happen is whoever did the cutting is going to face the bulk of the charges. Everyone else is going to be offered a plea deal. And the person, like I said, who did the actual cutting on the guy is going to be offered up as the sacrificial lamb.
Yes.
And he'll get the most time. And it was a man who did the cutting in the video. That's why I'm saying he'll get the most time. All right. Fuck it.
I think they might all get kidnapping, though. I mean, if you read the details of the story, like he initially willingly went with him because he knew one of the people from school, and then it turned into, it's, the one guy may take the brunt of the charges, the guy who did the actual physical assault, but I don't know, they don't take kidnapping lightly either. So
no,
we'll see.
Kidnapping is, like I said, and Aaron said, a federal offense. And that's automatically, as far as I know, 20 or 25 years to life.
Again, it's the details of this case aren't interesting in and of themselves, I don't think. It's only the media response to this that.
I think it's interesting. Let's say it was 4 white people who had done this to another white person, and the victim wasn't autistic or whatever the fuck they're reporting he is.
Okay.
I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting along the lines of, did these idiots think that they were going to post that on Facebook and be internet famous and get away with it? Is that how much we're fucking enamored with stardom these days?
Yeah.
It looked like they were trying to make a fucking Blair Witch Project movie.
So in other words, you got to take a Dramamine before you watch it.
That's what I'm saying. They're going to go to court and go, it wasn't us, it was the witch. I didn't have the knife.
There was another story about Facebook Live this week. I guess there was a young woman, Kiana Herndon, who was Facebook live streaming her, apparently just talking shit and dancing around. And during this live stream, she had her kid with her, and the kid was kind of in the background, and she was dancing or something. And she just fell over and died. I guess she had suffered from some weird disease, and her heart just gave out. But the reason it was in the story, on top of being broadcast live,
we need that crazy dance and make my penis soft drop.
Right? Yeah. No. So her dad was all over the place, blasting everybody, all of her quote unquote, as he calls them, friends who are watching on Facebook, who did nothing. Because I guess once she had collapsed, there was nobody in the room to terminate the live feed. So it just continued with her kids screaming in the background and the mom dead on the floor. And the views started going up and up and up because everyone was like, holy fuck, this girl just passed out or something or died.
Start sharing the fuck out of it.
Right. And so his view on this is that everybody wanted to gawk at it, but nobody did anything and just let her die there on the floor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, I saw that same kind of shit in New Jersey last year.
Yeah.
Fucking, I was outside of one of the stores that I was at, and these 2 black chicks were just beating the fuck out of each other, screaming at each other. Cops roll up 3 cop cars deep, try to break it up because one of the dudes gets in, and now there's a dude and a chick beating up on the chick. Everybody's standing around, fucking, they got their phones out. They're videotaping the whole thing.
World Star.
Yeah, instead of maybe someone going and fucking breaking it up and going, hey, stop beating this chick's ass.
Well,
no, everyone's just standing around videoing it.
I'm going to be honest with you. Today's with so many states having concealed carry and stand your ground laws, I'm not trying to break up a fight between people I don't know.
Right, and then what happens next? I'm videotaped pushing around a black chick.
I don't even give a fuck about that. I just don't want no one whipping out a gun and laying daylight through me.
Then just walk away. I just found what was disturbing about the whole situation is everyone sitting there recording it and no one's helping. Just walk away if you're going to be that fucking
that's how you live in the now, man.
There's danger too, though, in breaking up a girl fight, because if one of them's got a man around and you step in and try and break it up, then the man's going to get involved, and you have no idea who the fuck that guy is. If you see
they
two
were
guys,
teenagers, though. If they were high school kids,
I could get my ass beat by a high schooler.
Yeah, Cat Williams learned that lesson.
Right. No, but what I'm saying is, you see two guys fighting, and you can size it up and go, well, they're both bigger than me, so there's nothing I can do. Or you can go, well, I think I could take one of them. This guy seems like he's getting his ass kicked. Let me break this shit up. But if you're two girls, you have no idea who else is going to jump in on that shit. You're leaving your ass exposed.
But I like to think of maybe 20, 30 years ago, like 8 dudes would have banded together and just fucking rolled into that shit and stopped it.
Okay,
hold on a second, because Earl and I have a unique perspective on this.
How's that?
We've actually
been girl fighting.
Been party to two gentlemen going at it and people trying to break it up. And what happens is people end up getting their ass beat because you don't know.
Because the lights go out and you don't know who's there.
Right. Yeah, and so you just start grabbing the nearest person and pounding the shit out of them.
Right. You try and grab one guy off the other. You get elbowed in the face. Now you're just swinging wildly.
Exactly. People get put in headlocks and punched, and it's not even the dude that was involved in the fight initially.
Okay, but I want to get back to the story real quick. So I understand the reaction to everybody just kind of gawking at his poor dead daughter there. The flip side, though, is what was anybody supposed to do?
Isn't there bystander
call
law?
911
and tell them what? Somebody on Facebook collapsed.
I'm watching a friend on Facebook who this is their location.
How do you know their location?
Because if you're a friend with them, you can go to their profile and see what city they're in.
What? Who says it? Look, her friend came over afterwards and found. She's the one who actually terminated the feed when she came over and found the body on the floor. You can't assume that her friends are watching. I mean,
okay, fair enough.
No, but if you don't set your privacy settings the right way, I could post something and someone could come right to our house.
If they knew what they were doing. I probably wouldn't know how to do that. I mean, yeah, everything's geotagged if you know how to read the code.
I think you're not giving yourself enough credit, Aaron. If you were motivated, you could do it.
Okay, and what? Like, I'm going to save this girl's life by trying to learn how to geotag her location? I don't know. I think,
just do the right thing. Someone died. Just call 911.
Earl, what did you say? You said something about aren't there Good Samaritan laws or something like that?
No, there's a bystander law. I know there used to be. Have you guys ever seen the movie Accused?
Yeah. Well, there's the law that was put into effect after that murder in New York, the famous one where the woman supposedly died screaming, bleeding out in the street while everybody else just either watched or shut off their lights and went back to bed.
Well, yeah, the whole last episode of Seinfeld was based on
I was about to bring that up. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the Good Samaritan or bystander law.
Right.
The problem is
that whole story, 90% of that story was manufactured, by the way, just so you know.
What, Seinfeld?
No.
I was going to say 100% of it was.
No, the story that they're getting that from, I can't remember the woman's name, but they've explored that story inside and out, and it was blowing up. It's actually interesting because when you think about it in the aspect of stories like we were talking about with, any of the videos of anybody being beat up or shot or killed that might be of opposing races. But at that time, the narrative was crime on the uprise. And this story of this woman dying alone in the street while everybody in the neighborhood refused to do anything perfectly fit that narrative and took off like wildfire across the nation and inspired a change in the laws. But upon further investigation, it turned out to be mostly bullshit. I mean, yes, she did get stabbed in the street and die. And yes, there was one man who should have done something if he knew what the fuck was going on. But it wasn't anywhere near what the story was portrayed as.
Hey, it's New York. It's I've worked there for 2 years. That's how it is, man. Fucking people don't give a shit. Hey, lady, get out of my way. I'm trying to get somewhere.
I've seen that shit go down in Detroit, too. I mean, it's everywhere.
It really is. But that being said, though, the movie, Jodie Foster, The Accused, have you guys seen it?
Yes.
Okay, they arrested the guys that raped her. There were like 3 of them that raped her.
Uh-huh.
And then they went back and arrested the guys that were cheering it on and convicted them as well.
Right.
So if you're watching a fight in the street, like Chris was saying, and you're just sitting there filming it and laughing at it, I mean...
You could leave yourself exposed. Yeah, absolutely.
You really could. So yeah, either do something or walk the fuck away.
Right.
Well, hey, there you go. You just figured out how the cameraman in the story we were talking about earlier gets convicted.
But do something would just be call the police. I mean, I can't imagine what situation would you recommend, like actually trying to break up a fight these days?
Well, I don't know. If Ronda Rousey was sitting there getting her ass pummeled and bouncing off the mat, and hey, that's enough.
Ronda Rousey's story is the epitome of the millennial story to me, with her recent ass beating, because it just, at least from somebody who's not directly involved in following the sport or any sport for that matter, I see somebody who is young and cute and really believes that they are a champion, and I guess that's just not fucking enough to cut it, is it?
Well, she was,
just
but the last couple of years, not anymore. She used to be good. She used to win fights all the time.
That's what I was telling you guys on Sporgy, though.
Well, wait a minute.
It was more than her championship. She was seen as a role model, a breakout in the sport, given, women of her stature, blonde, beautiful, toned up women can actually, perform something like that. And then these past 2 fights, no, they can't.
Yeah, I don't know. From what I understand, like she was really successful. She's an Olympic athlete, right?
Ronda Rousey?
No. Yeah.
Rousey? No.
Okay, I'm going to look it up again then.
MMA, if she is, it's not for MMA because it's not in the Olympics. Maybe it's for like a grappling sport like judo or wrestling or something.
Yes, it was for judo. So that's what I'm saying. Like, she might be an Olympic judo athlete, but clearly this doesn't translate. And just because you believe you can do something and everybody wants to believe because they're attracted to you and you're young and cute, doesn't necessarily mean that you are going to be the champion.
But come on, Aaron, we're in the society where everyone's the same now. You can be anything.
Here's the problem. You get on the ground with Ronda, it's game over.
Well, me?
But she could never get him on the ground. Holly Holmes or Nunes as well. But she could never get either one of those two on the ground. They beat the shit out of her.
Well, right. That's why she's good at judo and not MMA.
Well, judo's
all about getting your ass on the ground.
It's part of MMA. That's the whole mixed martial arts.
Yeah.
Basically, she has a good ground game, but she's not a striker. She can't sit there and go blow for blow with somebody. And, I mean, that's just, it happens, no matter what. Maybe because I've been listening to a lot of Joe Rogan, and he dissects a lot of fights and stuff. I'm not really into the whole UFC, MMA thing. I just never got into it. But it is interesting to listen to someone who is a black belt in judo and has been in that sport, to sit there and dissect the sport just from wow, there's a lot more to it than people think. People think it's just you get into a ring and start throwing punches and that's it. It's not that. There's a lot of setting, especially when it comes to judo and submission moves and grappling. There's a lot of setting people up. It's almost it's a physical version of chess. You have to think 3-4 moves ahead. This person's going to do this. I'm going to counter with this. I'm going to put them in an arm bar. Boom, I got them. But you got to think, ahead of time. But I mean, besides that, it's just she ran into people who were just going to, came out and did a stand-up fight, and she never got to the mat. and she lost. And she's a sore loser. I mean,
Terrible loser.
What more is there to talk about? I mean, unfortunately, in sports, where your ego is on the line, along with your wins and losses, but your ego is there. Like I said on, Sporgy, a lot of sports people are like a lot of musicians. They have a huge ego, but it's eggshell fragile. And the minute there's a crack in it, they can't handle it. I mean, instead of looking at it like this, I'm Ronda Rousey. I can whip 95% of the world's ass in a one-on-one fight. She looks at it as, I just got embarrassed on national television, and I'm gonna go pout about it. It's her ego is dictating how she looks at the situation.
How can it not?
That's part. That's part of being an athlete.
Yeah, it's a one-on-one sport. You don't even have teammates you can blame.
Yeah, but if you do any sports, I mean, one of the facts of sports is you are going to lose at some point. Nobody goes undefeated.
Well, ego, that gives me a nice segue into Donald Trump, because because it's his ego in this situation that's his major blind spot when it comes to any conversation with Russia, apparently.
No hacking.
What's that?
No hacking.
What?
They didn't hack us.
Hacker, no hacking?
Who didn't hack us?
I think he's trying to quote Trump. He's trying to paraphrase Trump there.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I thought he was making a goof on swiper, no swiping.
Hacker, no hacking.
Yes.
Say it with me. That's what we forgot to do. Forgot to all stand at the edge of Alaska and say, hacker, no hacking.
No. From Sarah Palin's.
That's it. We just have to go to Sarah Palin's house. We could see him, right?
Only from the backyard.
Well, okay, so we had Obama's getting the security hearing today as we record this. Tomorrow, which will be Friday, will be Trump getting the same security hearing about what the collected intelligence agencies' evidence is to the fact that there was tampering in our... It's not... What was it? I'm trying to get the exact word used, because it's not tampering with the election and tampering with the election results, tampering with the electoral process. That was the exact words.
It tampered with us. Like, I said it 100 times. Like, that's the news stories keep leading us to believe the Russians got into our computers and our voting system and affected the results. No, they figured out we're dumb and easily swayed, and they hacked us. Like, they hacked our personality as a fucking group.
Right. Well, but wouldn't you still want to stop that?
Why? I have to pay the price because you're dumb?
Okay.
Like, I have a brain. Like,
what if your sister's mentally retarded and she's getting raped all the time, but she doesn't know any better?
On Facebook.
But she doesn't know any better. Step in and stop that shit if you can do something about it. Or you just go, well, hey, people want to just let shit happen to them. I mean,
hardest part about eating vegetables is getting them out of the wheelchair.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of...
You can't help somebody that won't help themselves, Aaron.
No, but I'm not even talking about trying to help people who won't help themselves. I'm saying you can't just be selective about...
I could sit down and explain it to them without the Russian hack, and they're still not going to get it.
No, forget about them. I'm talking about the Russians. Why is it an either-or game where you say, well... either the Russians had something to do with the result of our election, or they didn't. To me, that's not the question. It's either they attempted to influence our election or they didn't. And it seems like the evidence is that they attempted to. So it's not just blow it off and say, well, they had no effect. Or if they did, they only had effect on stupid people who probably would have voted that way anyway. So we just, in that case, just want to roll over and let Russia do whatever they want. I mean, it's clear. It's not even really a question about whether they hacked us or whether they tried to influence our election, because it's something that they do all over the fucking world. Of course they're trying to do it to us as well.
Well, what are we going to do? Just block all Russian IPs coming into the United States? I mean, that's...
Well, we can do sanctions, which we already did, which will probably be removed as soon as Trump takes office. Because
in the grand scheme of things, are generally nothing if you really read into what they were.
The grand scheme of things, what? Oh, the sanctions?
The sanctions, yeah.
Yeah. Look, sanctions start small. It's it's not that it's going to affect the other nation. It sends a clear message with the intent of, if this happened, let's say at the beginning of Obama's presidency, we probably, and this behavior continued, there would be further and further sanctions until there was actual consequence. I agree with you. The sanctions were small, but you don't just start off with cutting off a nation completely. You send a message. And so,
yeah, but what's that message going to be to somebody who's as big as us?
No. Send a message to Russia.
That's what I'm saying. They're as big as that. What the fuck are we going to do to Russia?
Well, we have a lot more influence and power in the world than Russia does at this moment. Sure we do. Sure we do. How don't we?
Okay, hold on.
China.
You got to back that statement up, man. What? Right.
Because they're there, we're not.
I don't know what that means.
They're literally over there, and we're not.
Over where? Over in Russia?
Overseas, period.
Right.
You're saying we have more power and influence in the world. No, we don't. We think we do because we're Americans, but we don't.
Well,
I mean, if we're going to sit there and talk about, go over there and I'm going to put sanctions, I'm going to slap your wrist, I'm going to, yeah, okay, Dad, whatever. Mom turn around and beat the shit out of you. That's Russia. She's there. A country tried to side with us, and they're like, okay, next thing you know, they're in there. Then what are you going to do? And eventually, you're going to talk about bringing the Cold War back with Russia.
Wait a minute, are you talking about if a third country tried to side with us, Russia would go over there and fuck them up? Is that what you're trying to say?
Well, that's what they've done.
Okay, I guess from that aspect, I do understand, because we're almost, our sanctions and us being so far away, it's like, okay, all right. It's like your dad calling, your dad's a truck driver and he's on the road, and your mom puts him on the phone and says, when I get home, beat your ass, but your mom's there to beat your ass right now. Okay, from that aspect, I got what you're saying. However, we're a major player in the UN. In fact,
we have a veto in the UN, and if you just look at the amount of trade that we do with other countries, there's a lot of power in that as well, and a lot of things that we can do to make things more expensive for Russians.
True, but on the other hand, too, Russia's neighbors with China.
And?
Right.
Hey, United States
people who make
lots of money.
Right. But, okay, so U.S. says, you know what, China, we really want to do business with you, but we don't like the way that you do business with Russia.
And China will say, it's a big fucking deal. You owe us a lot of money.
Right. Pretty much. No. We own you.
No, they're going to continue the good trade that goes back and forth between our countries, rather than lose that just to have a good relationship with.
So you're taking that on faith,
with a crumbling nation. I'm not taking it out of faith. This is history.
Okay, Max.
Are we back to historically?
I think honestly, we're not that far away from. Especially as we get more of a global economy, and our borders are something that the only reason that they're even enforced as far as economically is because of taxes. Eventually there's going to be a country that's going to step up and go, yeah, I don't really give a fuck what you got to say anymore, U.S. You don't have the power you used to.
Well, that's
Korea.
exactly it.
With Korea. We hold all the chips. If we call in our markers, you're fucked. I mean, and we're not that far away from it. We like to think we are. And goes back to something I said before.
But wait a minute. No, but you just made an argument against yourself, because this is a global economy, and to draw away, to cease to do business with one of the richest countries, with the richest country in the world, is shooting yourself in the foot.
What I'm saying is they're gonna go. We're gonna negotiate with you from a position of power. You are no longer in a position of power.
Right. You think anybody has so much debt over us that they have a position of power over this nation?
Yeah, China.
No,
yeah.
No, they don't.
Oh, my God.
Okay.
It's not the Chinese government that owns all this shit in America. It's private business owners who are investing in land and business opportunities in America. Yes, in the big respect that China owns a lot of the U.S., but when you talk about trade between our nations, it's even. They don't.
I know you're saying that, but I'm telling you, Russia sits right there with China. And if we start pissing them off, it's going to be very, very short-lived to where China's going to be like, okay, my bad. U.S., fuck off. I'm with you, Russia.
There's no way that China would side with Russia.
Oh, come on.
Not until Russia can prove, first of all, that it can even survive as a nation in the long term.
Done
It's still
a pretty good job for a couple thousand years.
Not to mention they were there before we were, but here nor there.
Yeah, exactly. We're the new kids on the block, basically.
Survive
they
as
came in.
let me amend that statement. Survive as a thriving nation and not a crumbling one, which it is and has been.
Okay, but okay, hold on a sec. Let's just time out for a sec.
Yeah?
Let's be honest here. Have you been to China?
The fuck does that have to do with anything?
No, I'm asking a question. Don't fucking get off on no bullshit about what it has to do anything. I'm asking because this is what we're told, and by who? Our media, that they're a crumbling nation?
Not China, Russia.
Okay.
No, what I'm saying is, okay,
Is
China going to pick Russia, its neighbor, or U.S., the wealthier nation, to do trade with if it was forced to choose? It's no contest. It has nothing to do with their borders. It has everything to do with who has the money and who has the longer term of good business.
Aaron, I won't argue with you about trades. I won't argue with you about money. I won't. But it's very, very short-lived when you're sitting there trying to do things that financially make sense, when there's a guy right behind you that's ready to beat the
with a barrel of a gun to your head.
Right.
That's what I'm getting at.
It becomes a very common sense decision. USA, I'll get back to you. Russia, it's all yours. My bad.
Yeah, I don't believe that China is threatened by Russia.
Okay. Well, I mean, ultimately, that comes down to you don't see it that way. I'm just saying, look, there's a lot of shit that, how do I put this? We're very young. We're a very young country, and we rose to power post-World War II at rates that the world had never seen before.
Yeah.
And since World War II, in the 70-plus years since World War II ended, excuse me, technology has shrunk the world. I mean, once again, we talked about this before. The UN has declared, internet access a human right. As soon as that is implemented worldwide, information, which is true power,
right,
is going to be shooting at the fastest speed we can, shoot it across the globe. That's unheard of before. Borders are going to cease to exist, except for, the laws we have about who can come and who can go through our borders, and the taxation about what passes and what comes in through our borders, and the economy is going to be global. America still has this idea, this rugged individualism, that's not going to work in a global economy.
Right. This isolationist thinking of that jobs going over to other nations is always a bad thing. I'm not saying that it never is. I'm not taking a contrary position, and I'm saying there's a lot of gray in there that involves being involved in what is inevitably going to be a world economy. And you can either draw away from that and try and just concentrate on your own economy with the exclusion of the global economy and suffer from it, or you can get ahead of it, and as a country that is now wealthy will continue to remain wealthy and powerful because they will be in control of the global economy and not separated from it.
Ultimately, what is the point of capitalism? To die with the most toys. The most. That's it. And we've exported capitalism, at least the ideal or the idea of capitalism, to other countries as far as economic terms. So here's the thing. Let's just say, for argument's sake, we're number one in the world right now. That means people are gunning for us. And they're always going to be that. If you're number one, you're always going to have to fucking worry about number two, number three, number four. All right? The point is to be number one. China, Russia wants that top spot. We've already nuclear weapons pretty much assured destruction of the entire planet. We came to a stalemate. The Cold War ended. Now we fight wars in boardrooms. Now we fight wars with fucking money and stocks and shit moving and land and ownership of property and ownership of companies. That's how we fight wars these days. And I'm sorry, we are not equipped to win that war. China is far more ready to fight that battle than we are. Because we still think in the mentality of we have the biggest military, who's going to fuck with us.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. I think there's way more likely a scenario of China not having to choose who it does business with because it is the leading economy in the world. because
it's also the largest holder of U.S. debt in the world. We owe $1.1 trillion.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like we talked about before, honestly, that debt's it's not like a debt. It's not like owing a debt to a fucking casino where they can call it in at any minute.
Right.
I mean, they'll be like, okay, well, we'll just take it out and trade. We'll settle for 50 cents on the dollar, and by the way, all your base belong to us.
Right.
You know.
Right. You have to take all this into consideration, that this is all happening amidst a business deal that has to be ongoing, that is mutually beneficial for both nations. And it's not like either one of them can just pull out of that deal. That's what, like when Trump talks about how, this trade deal is bad, and I'm gonna pull out of NAFTA and not agree to the TPP. Well, it's not just about what you want as a president or what you want for your nation. Like NAFTA's signed. That's done. Like you have to actually get the other country involved in renegotiating a new trade deal, or just choose not to trade with that nation, which again puts your country at a disadvantage because you're limiting your own resources.
Well, I think it's well documented that, Aaron, you and I have different outlooks on things. You don't weep or bemoan the loss of manufacturing in the U.S.
I got a story for you.
I see it as more of a problem than you do. Let's put it that way. I don't want to put words in your mouth. I see it as more of a problem than you appear to. Let's put it that way. Mm-hmm. You say, well, we got to concentrate more on tech and the STEM and the STEM industries and stuff. But the problem is, and we've once again we've talked about this. People come over here, get these American educations, and then they leave and they go back to their countries and they take that education and all the innovations they're going to make with them.
That's our fault for not giving the smarter people enough reason to stay in this country and be productive.
Exactly,
and generate tax dollars for our country and not somebody else's.
This used to be a destination, not just a pit stop to get an education and go back to your country.
Right.
But that's also a byproduct of a global marketplace, because people don't go, America's where I'm going to go and make it. Now they go, no, America's where I'm going to go and get educated, and then I'm going to take it back to my country and make my country fucking fruitful and prosper.
Well,
at a very less rate.
You bringing this up made me think of actually just before we started recording, I for some reason had this vision in my head, like if I would draw it, if I could draw comics or something, or if I was good with video, I'd try and film this. But I imagine this like almost like a propaganda piece, right? You see a worker moving boxes, doing some menial task, right? And there's some sad music, and there's a voice overdub that's saying that, bemoaning how this is the only job that this man in America could find because all the other jobs are being shipped overseas. Or being given to immigrants at a lower wage or what have you, or he doesn't have the right training. And he works his menial job, and we hear about him suffering as the American worker. And we see him end his shift and go to his locker and walk into it and plug himself in because he's a fucking robot. And then he thinks to himself right before he shuts himself off, well, at least I didn't have it as bad as my old man. Cut to GM welding robot working 24/7 in the same spot, doing the same thing over and over again. There's your American worker for you.
Yeah, more than likely. It's the future.
That's what I'm saying. What's Carrier
doing? It's like the movie Elysium.
Yeah. What's Carrier doing? Oh, Donald Trump bullied Carrier into keeping jobs here in America. And now, so what do? Well, they kept the jobs in America and also doubled up on their investment in automation technology so that hopefully within the next 5 to 10 years they can fire all those people again and keep their robot factory in America. So where did we end up positive on
the same shit's heading down the pipe with the $15 an hour for the fast food workers.
Right. You want more money? That's fine. Honestly, there's only going to be 4 of you now.
Can we say
the rest
that this
of you can go home?
That our generation, the 36 to 50, the Gen X crew is really the first generation that saw it coming down the line and was like, oh boy, we're really fucked.
What happened?
Because the American dream as the baby boomers and the greatest generation and et cetera, that was born out of the industrial age. The American dream that they had is not the American dream that we can have. It's just not possible anymore.
True. And one thing I'll give the baby boomers is they, at least we've talked about it before, we were the first generation that was told, you ain't going to have it like your parents.
Right. And there was also, because we talk about, not only people who lose their jobs and maybe get replaced by robots, but this same conversation has come up when we've talked about like alternative energy, right? And what do we do with the coal workers? And we can't, it's just not possible to retrain all these people and just think that they're going to be, getting new jobs working in solar energy or something like that. But it seems like we've lost this notion. It makes me think of The Graduate, actually. Remember, you guys have seen The Graduate, right? And he's at his graduation party, and there's like, I don't know, a friend of the family or an uncle or somebody who comes up to him, and he starts talking about plastics. Plastics is the future. That's what you got to get involved in. That's where the money is. When I was graduating high school, it was computers. Yeah. That anything to do with computers. If you can get involved in computer technology now, you're going to be ahead of the game.
Yeah.
We used to have this attitude of being ahead of the game, and it doesn't just end in where you choose to go to school after you graduate or something like that. Sometimes it does involve retraining, at a period in your life where you thought you'd be, working comfortably and ready to retire. It's an unfortunate situation of life, but that just happens. And not only do we not expect now these older workers to retrain, we just go, oh, what are we going to do with them? We got to put them on welfare and shit. I don't think we're even doing this for the next generation. It's not about where can you get it? What's a good business that you can get involved in where you would be in demand if you were knowledgeable about this? It's you can do whatever you want because you believe it.
And that is one of the greatest lies that has been told in like the last 2 decades.
Yes.
Like, you can't. I'm sorry. You can't. I could believe I want to be a professional football player, but guess what? I don't have the fucking athletic ability. I'm too small. And I get my fucking ass destroyed.
Right.
So no, I cannot be anything I believe.
I believe that I wanted to be a rock star every bit as much as Kurt Cobain did when he was my age at the time. And I got a guitar and I learned power chords and I grew my hair long and bleached it out. I didn't get to be a pop star because I didn't have what Kurt Cobain had, some raw talent.
When I watched the movie Hustle and Flow, at the end of it, when the protagonist is in jail and Anthony Anderson comes to see him and he's talking about his his child that had been born, and he's like, what are you going to tell her? And he goes, I know that little girl has a hoe for a mama and a trick for a daddy, but I'm gonna lie and tell her she can be anything she wants to be. Okay, I got that was supposed to be an inspirational message, but maybe because I'm so cynical, I watched that and I was like, why are you lying to your child? Tell them the truth. Tell them the truth. Earl and I have a friend.
The truth is,
I like to say that, remember when you were in high school and the high school counselor said, well, you have leadership abilities and you can be anything you want to be and you show blah, blah, blah. They said that to every fucking one. The problem is the idiots believed it.
Right.
And we have a friend who I'm like, you're one of those idiots who believed it. So you're now 40 and you think you have leadership abilities even though you couldn't lead ants to a picnic. You know what I'm saying? So I don't understand why we lie to our children and expect them to grow up and deal with the world as it is. This is how come I have an issue when we really rail against millennials, and I've been guilty of it too. So, I'm throwing myself under the bus on this one as well. We did this.
Yeah.
We did this. And our generation, more so than the baby boomers who get most of the hate.
You're right.
The Generation X is that generation that started with this PC, self-esteem, you can be anything you want to be bullshit, and it's just not the goddamn fucking truth.
That's a very
Hey,
good
leave me
point.
out of this. I don't have any kids.
No, yeah, Rich, you're 100% correct on this. I myself is as guilty as anybody else my age of ragging on millennials, but what it really comes down to is that you're mad at your own generation for fucking things up.
Yeah, I mean, we were told, look, you're not going to, here's the deal, your parents are driving a fucking Cadillac, you're going to have to drive a Buick. Okay, and what did we do as a generation us? Let's be honest, instead of going, all right, well, we're going to have to drive a Buick, well, maybe our kids can drive a Lincoln. It's not a Cadillac, but it's close enough. And then maybe our grandkids can go back to driving Cadillacs. We just kind of threw our hands up and said, well, fuck it then. What do we, if there's
or
no
we did
hope,
something worse, and we said, fuck that guy who's driving a Cadillac, to try and kill anybody's any kind of
or
momentum, any kind of drive, any kind of will.
Right.
We instead turned it and said, well, fuck that guy.
Well, because
That's why
it starts with I should be driving that Cadillac. That should be me driving that Cadillac.
Why does he get to driving a Cadillac and I don't?
Yeah. Why is he? Why does he thinks that he's better than me? Right.
See, then that's where I can only quote a Rage Against the Machine lyric. Fuck the G-Ride. I want the machines that are making them. That's the attitude we should have had. Said, okay, well, fuck it. I'm going to have to drive this Buick. Well, you know what? Whatever. Instead of just accepting our lot in life, we should have said, no, fuck that. We want the machines that are making these motherfuckers. We want to take over and make shit better. That way this shit don't happen to our kids and our grandkids.
But instead, our generation came in and took Easy Street.
Yeah.
Well,
I'd call it more apathetic street, but I see your point.
I mean, our generations is when technology really came of age.
Well, right, and with technology,
we went from calling people at home on our phones on the wall to getting pagers to getting cell phones to where we can have face-to-face interaction no matter where they're at in the world.
Right, but there's also a major way that technology has influenced our economy, and as soon as we started getting the tech bubble that eventually blew up, and then it was the housing bubble, and it's banks, and then it's automotive. And we're seeing these cycles happen faster and faster in the economies, in these mini economies within the nation's economy that are still big enough to disrupt the whole. And I forgot what my major point was there. Where was I going with that?
Where's the marijuana effects memory drop?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, right. Any of you guys seen The Big Short?
Oh yeah. I love that movie.
Yeah,
that movie pissed me off, scared me, and did a whole bunch of that was the best horror movie I've ever seen.
Yeah, I've been thinking about buying a house for the last year.
Oh,
and after watching that, I'm like, hey, renting might not be so bad.
I was able to tie it back to our conversation. I remember now. So with all these little bubbles, you still saw a lot of people become super successful. Those who were able to invest early, get out early, unscathed.
Those smart people.
And so when you see this happen at a faster pace, and it's no longer about building on something from generation to generation, it's getting involved at the right time, and either you're lucky or you're not. So that way, if you fail to actually be successful in life, however you rate that, if it's money or property or whatever it may be to you, if you fail to be successful in that aspect of life, well, it was bad luck. It can always be blamed on bad luck, just as much as the guy who invested in, Facebook early on and cashed out major on it is just lucky because it was just luck that he happened to be invested in something that was actually successful.
Well, another word for luck is risk.
Right.
And when you invest in money, that's the thing. I got a mini rant on deck, so bear with me. When people say there's no such thing as luck, the first thing I have to say to them is, okay, where were you born? Well, I was born in Garden City, Michigan.
Aren't you lucky?
Oh. So you were born in the United States.
So not Ethiopia?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if I'd classify that as lucky as more as fortunate.
Nah, that's luck. That's a roll of the dice. Just as much as you being a man or a woman.
You had nothing to do with that. It's like being born. Okay, this is why I think there's so much bristling at the check your privilege movement, because you had nothing to do with your privilege. It's not like you were floating around in the spiritual world and said, hey, Mom, go fuck that 6'4", 200-pound linebacker who's lily white with the perfect white teeth and the 9-inch cock, and he comes from fucking good stock. No, you had no say in who the fuck. You were just.
Don't you remember being a soul up in heaven and God said to you, here's all the babies that your soul can go into, all different races and
all right, first,
and you
I'm
said,
picking white.
all right, get rid of all the brown ones. Those are right out. That brown one looks pretty good.
I think that white male, please.
I think the white blonde male is going to be the most successful in life. I'll take that one.
So right there, I think we can all agree that chance, I guess, is the better way to put it than luck.
Yes.
To pacify the babies who fucking are going to go, everything I have is through hard work. Luck had nothing to do with it. Okay, chance puts you in a position where you were more likely to succeed if you put the work in. And you didn't have to work. Let's just be honest. You didn't have to work as hard as a motherfucker born in, or apartheid South Africa.
Or fuck it.
And you're a black kid.
Maybe you were born in the U.S. to a farmer, and so you farmed. And you didn't
and
get
not
that.
A corporate farmer either.
Right.
So a real farmer.
So you weren't born in a situation where you would have maybe gone on to college and got some high-paying job, been a doctor or a lawyer. No, that's the life you knew. You're like, well, I guess I'm going to be a farmer. I mean, not to say that people don't go on to be raised by farmers and be doctors and lawyers, but sometimes it's just luck.
And see, my thing is, when I see people who just, adamantly, fist, they might as well put the black glove on, fist in the air, 1968 Olympics on the fucking winter podium talking about there's no such thing as luck. Why I get so pissed at those people is I'm like, you're not being honest. Mm. And
there's another.
We all lie to ourselves to a certain extent to get through life, but that is so delusional. That's delusion on another level that you need to go get some fucking therapy about it.
But there is an aspect of luck, though, both if you look at it as both bad and good luck, that does rely on the individual, and that's understanding when those good luck opportunities pop up. Sometimes You're so mired in your own shit that when opportunity knocks, you don't even hear the fucking knock.
You're not even home.
The opposite is someone who, like I said, is saying there's no such thing as luck, is the person who goes, well, all I have is bad luck.
Right.
So fuck it, why even try?
Right. Everything is against me. That's why I'm not successful in life.
And it's just like, I had a discussion with my brother recently, and we were talking about, people who are on the social scale, and okay, if you're over 6 foot tall, then, statistics say you're more likely to succeed, but it's not a determining factor in your success. Or if you're, morbidly obese, you're less likely to succeed, but it's not a determining fact. It's not the determining factor.
Right. But when you break it down, tall white males and white big-chested blonde women tend to make more money in whatever profession they're working.
Well, yeah. But there's also a point where you can reach such heights that your race, your gender falls away. And the only thing that matters is results and green.
Yeah, we've talked about
it. The person at the top is going, I don't care who you are as long as you make me richer.
Yeah, we talked about it plenty of times. At least in our country, you get above a certain level socioeconomically, it don't matter. Everybody's the same.
Exactly. And that's where this whole, when I hear people talk about, well, we need the equality movement. Everybody's equal. The problem is, we won't move up in equality. We will move down to the lowest inequality. That's where equality will be. It will be, okay, no one gets off with a warning when they get pulled over by the cop. Everybody gets a ticket automatically. Because then there's true equality. Then everybody's the same. No one gets any privilege. No one gets a second chance. Because if we go...
Been reading a lot of Ayn Rand lately?
Was it?
No, actually not. I'm just...
Wasn't everybody equal in Russia in the 40s and 50s?
What I'm looking at is basically this: just human nature.
In China,
I'm looking at human nature. If you sit someone in a room with another person, and they work together let's say that you're in a situation where you have to share a cubicle with another person for 6 months, and you become very good friends with that person.
Okay.
And let's say you're a born again Christian, very I'm against gays, I'm against this, I don't support it. It's a choice.
It's not that person.
Well, let's just say, and then 6 months. And then 6 months after working with this person, you find out this person that you're very good friends with is gay. It's harder for you to look at that person and be like, well, you're a fucking sinner and you're going to hell. When you personalize, when it's one-on-one interaction and you personalize the situation, it's harder for someone to throw judgment on another person, because then you start saying things like, oh, they're one of the good ones. Or you start making, in your own mind, excuses. Well, they're just confused. They're not really gay. They're confused. I can convert them. Mm-hmm. Shit like that. The problem is, as a society, as people, we don't do that. We don't want that. We want to be able, we're very tribalistic. We want to divide ourselves up by color, beliefs, ideals, religion, nationality. That's what, we have our entire history as human beings to prove that that's the fact. Yeah. And now we're trying to come in and go, we're going to change that in a generation or two. It's not going to change in a generation or two. There's never going to be true equality, because true equality is ugly. True equality is the woman walking around at the bar who's drunk and mouthy and talking shit needs to understand she can get knocked the fuck out just as quick as the guy who's doing it.
How is that equal?
That's true equality. No one's being treated special. Everyone's being treated the same. That's true equality.
Okay.
Is that what we really want? Let's be honest.
He's right. Aaron, in a base sense, he's right.
True equality is no one gets like I said, you get pulled over and you're white, oh, you get let off with a fucking warning. You're black, you get a ticket. Well, here's the thing. Everyone's going to get a ticket now. That's the only way to make sure we're truly equal. Look in schools. What have we been doing for the last 20, 30 years in schools? Well, you can't, Valentine's Day, you can't just give a Valentine's card to the girl you like in school. Everybody has to get a Valentine's card. Did you make cupcakes for so-and-so's birthday? Did you bring enough for the entire class? Everybody has to be equal. Everybody has to get a cupcake.
I had my high school principal in 1996 tell me they don't have AP classes because they didn't want a certain segment of the student population to be held in a different regard than another. This was 20 years ago.
Remember gifted classes? They don't have those anymore because gifted implies that people that aren't in them aren't gifted. So equality means playing down to the lowest common denominator. It's and here's the bitch of it. You say, have I been reading a lot of Ayn Rand? Well, or Ayn Rand. Here's the deal. That's the military. You're only as strong as your weakest link. Mm-hmm. That's what the military teaches you. That's how. Watch Full Metal Jacket. That's not bullshit. What is this? A jelly donut? Okay, I have failed to motivate Private Pile, and so have you. So he will eat this jelly donut, and all of you will do push-ups because of his fuck up. In other words, he's the weakest link, and we're all going to fucking suffer because of him. That's true equality. There's no preference, there's no prejudice. You're all equally worthless. That's the sad part that no one wants to realize. Now, in a utopian society, could we overcome that? Yes, maybe, but we're not going to do it in a few generations, and we're not going to do it by walking around looking at people going, fuck you, check your privilege. Fuck you, check your privilege. Well, you were born this way, so you got it better than me. Well, that's jealousy. That's not equality, that's jealousy. Why can't we lift each other up instead of tear each other down? Because it's human nature to do so.
Because we want to be better.
Exactly. Competition. That's what evolution. Evolution is not a utopian fucking ideal. It's the strongest survive, the weakest die off. They're bred out. These traits are bred out.
And that's what was cracking me up when Aaron was talking about how America is the richest nation and China will side with us. And no, that's just not how this shit's going to go down. I'm warning you. They call me Iceman for a reason. Remember that shit.
Motherfucker, don't bring that shit up. This is orgy. Simple motherfucker.
Well, I mean, I sent you guys an article in the Messenger. It kind of get back to the other subject for a second, but just they're not going to. But China has if they called in all their bets at once, they could fucking send us into worse financial shape than we were in 2008. Like that is evolution.
And what would they gain from that?
Their dollar gets stronger. Because the whole reason they're holding.
I mean,
no, but the whole reason they're holding all that debt for us is because it keeps the value of their money lower.
Right, but
it keeps their cost of living lower.
Yeah, but look at it like a pawn shop, for example, right? You could, so a guy brings in something, you give him X amount of dollars for it, you hang on to it for a while, he doesn't come back. You could go ahead and say, fuck that guy, and sell that shit. Or you could give him the opportunity to actually give him some time, make good on that loan, pay a little bit more interest, and probably come back and pawn that same item over and over and over again. So if you cut them off, you've actually just lost business.
Yes,
and it would be the same thing.
Customers is a good thing in business,
right? And we are China's biggest customer.
But never mistake the fact that they want repeat business with us for kindness, because ultimately,
who's talking about kindness? We're talking about business.
That's exactly. But a lot of people who don't deal in the higher, end of finances don't understand that. It's just like, it's like a mob movie when
well, it's a personification of a business saying, well, how shouldn't they want to keep their jobs in America? Shouldn't that company just do that because that's the right thing to do?
No, but the problem is the company has built if it's an American-born company that was born out of America, it's built itself on workers who were publicly educated. It's had all its products delivered by roads that were built by the government, yet they have no obligation to their country. This nationalism stops when the dollar when you start running into red instead of the black.
But it's the same thing that we were talking about at the top of the hour. Immigrants that come over here, get education, and then go and be a professional in another country. I mean, yeah, they built themselves based on a system that we constructed and then chose not to stick around. Why? Because we didn't give them enough reason to. Because they can make more money somewhere else.
Yeah, and once again, how do we stop that? The only way to stop that is to make the playing field unfair and not level. That's it. Okay, you want to come here for an education and that's it? You're going to pay outrageous amounts of tuition compared to a native-born person who goes to school.
No, now you're just keeping the smarter people who want to immigrate into your country for education out of the country completely. So you never even have that opportunity to turn them into productive citizens.
Exactly. We're saying the same thing. We're just coming from we're reaching the same destination from two different roads.
I hear you.
I mean, it's a self-defeating policy, but it's a policy that, essentially, isn't that what Trump says when he goes, I'm going to tax the fuck out of companies that move jobs overseas. I'm going to make it so they can't move jobs overseas. It's so unattractive they won't do it. Okay, great. But guess what? Trump, you're here for at most 8 years. Then you're gone. Those companies, they're like elephants and hockey players. They never forget. They're going to come back on your ass. And they're going to remember this shit. And believe me, they aren't even fucking... Even a company that believes in America, mom, and apple pie the most isn't going to put up with the shit if their bottom line is affected.
What destroyed Russia? Or the USSR, I should say. Isolationist policies and government control over business. Those are two major factors in destroying that nation.
Yeah. When you're wrong, I'll stop you. Preach. Preach.
And yet we want to praise Trump because he's keeping business in America by shaming these businesses. This is ludicrous what he's doing. Picking out individual businesses, say, you're going to get a tariff and you're going to get a tariff and you're going to get a tariff because I don't like your policies. That's not how we govern business in this nation. But
the problem is that we've been so trained to see there's only two sides to any argument. And there's multiple sides. It's just like, okay, well, if you're not capitalist, then you're a socialist or a communist. How about this? How about we try something how about a hybrid of different ideals? How about we birth a new ideal out of blending ideals together?
How about that? If you're really concerned about keeping successful businesses in the U.S., instead of going on your little victory lap, why didn't you go around to these businesses and talk to them one-on-one and say, hey, I noticed that you're thinking about moving some of your business overseas. Why is that, and what do you think America could do to keep the jobs here, to keep your factories here, to keep all of your business here in this country?
All I'm picturing is the Windows thing when you're doing something and the little paperclip pops up. So I notice you're trying to do this.
A Clippy comes over.
Here's a thought. I know, might not be a popular idea. Make it easier for the businesses to operate here.
Yeah.
So they don't leave.
How about? Okay, hold on a sec. Hey, Earl, you still with us?
Yeah.
Because guys, I think we haven't even began to put the pickaxe to the rock that we can mine right here.
Yeah.
Earl, if I'm speaking out of school, you can stop me at any time. Earl voted for Trump. Mm-hmm. But from what I gathered, your reasons for voting for Trump was because it wasn't business as usual. Am I correct in interpreting what we've talked about that way?
Yeah, it was against the political machine.
And your theory is either he's such an outsider, he's going to realign things, or he's going to fuck up so bad that we have no choice but to tear everything down and rebuild it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. I think we're sitting on a gold mine with having him on the podcast, because not Jay, not me, Aaron, Chris, none of us are fucking would ever have thought about voting for Trump.
Well, no, but...
And we have a chance to sit here and actually ask a person and have a discussion with a person who did. And I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I'm kind of going to put you on the spot.
No, go ahead. I have zero qualm about telling people who I voted for and why. I'm not your typical voter. I'm not left. I'm not right. I have my beliefs and they're mine. The people they gave us to vote for was Trump or Hillary. Hillary's been in D.C. for the last 30, 40 years. And I don't like to see where, she would take us. It's that simple. I had to go against the political machine. I had to put a stop to it.
But devil's advocate to your mindset there, Earl, is let's say you own a pizza place and you need a manager for it.
Yeah, but that's just
it. Would you hire somebody off the street with no experience, or someone who's got years of experience to run it for you?
But that's just it. I don't own a pizza place. And
the United States is the metaphor. And I know it's a metaphor for the country.
I got it. And I never would if Hillary was going to be there.
So you would put someone with no experience in charge of running your business. Let's forget pizza place. We'll call it a business. No one in charge of running your business.
Place. Go ahead. Yes, I would. I absolutely would. And I would tell them exactly how I would want that place run.
Well,
exactly how I want.
Who's really in charge?
Me.
Earl, I can't argue with that, though. I don't agree with your reasons for voting for Trump, but that's fine. I do completely understand them, though, and it's not like anybody was given a really good choice. I'm not against having an outsider, and I don't necessarily think that it needs to be somebody with some sort of strict political background. It just so happens.
I'd rather it didn't, actually.
I just think that this particular outsider was not right for the job.
Exactly. And Aaron, nobody does, except for your extreme left-wingers or right-wingers.
Right.
Believe that Trump is the guy for the job. Nobody believes it. Not a one person. There are more people like me than they're free to admit. They won't even admit it. They'll just hide.
Right. It's a lot of people who are saying that, well, he might not be perfect, but we can manipulate him and get certain things out of him. He can... We can get him to do the right things that we want.
It's more of the things we don't want.
Yeah, I guess that's a better point. Yeah, you're right.
I don't want to keep going in the direction we were heading. Because I see the edge of the waterfall. I know how fast we were heading that way. And I don't want to go. I kind of like my life. I don't want to fall over the edge. And Trump has two... I put Trump in the same bracket that I put Obama in. Okay. He has two ways to do this. He's either going to do a phenomenal fucking job, and people are going to be like, wow, look at that. Look at him go. So glad. or he's going to completely fuck up and we're never going to get the chance again. And if this time, though, the only difference is this time, and I explained it a different way many, many times. I said, you ever been listening to a parent from back in the 80s, early 90s, and they're talking to their kids, and they're like, all right, you better knock it off. Look, all right, 1, 2, and you knew if mom got to 3, all hell was breaking loose.
Right.
Okay, well, this is our 3. This is our 3.
You'll turn around, take the car home, and nobody's getting ice cream.
No. We're pulling the fuck over. Somebody's getting their ass whipped.
Earl, you put far too much faith in our fellow citizens.
No, see, I don't, because they elected him. If they'd elected Clinton, then I would have put too much faith in our fucking citizens. But they elected Trump, and they said it. They said it as loud as they fucking could. Stop it. Enough.
Okay, sure. Yeah, they're going to turn off the voice and take a Big Mac out of their mouth long enough to do something? No. We're too self-absorbed and narcissistic at this point to band together to try to do anything,
You're right.
in my opinion.
You're absolutely right. And we tried it with Occupy Wall Street. We tried it with the teachers movement. We tried it in all these little factions across the country. You've heard about all the stories. I'm sure you talked about them on this show. All of the different stories of how people have tried to stop the machine that is DC. And they couldn't do it. They wouldn't listen.
No, even when we see progress, it's rolled back within a couple years.
Right. And then you got, the House and the Senate sitting there back and forth, and the president jumps in and goes, well, this is what we're doing. No, we ain't. Shut up. And they go back and forth. That all has to quit. It has to stop. For the people, by the people, right?
Well, Earl, you're talking about pretty much destroying so I guess my question is, well, what's the solution?
That is the solution. Put somebody in there who has no affiliation to any of those special interest groups. None. He is the special interest group, for fuck's sake.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Oh, well,
really,
what
man?
You're talking
Really?
about is a risky game, but it's either success or chaos. So you really can't say what the alternative is, because it's
just
it's a
talked
wild
about how
card.
luck is a part of life, right?
Wait, say that again?
Talked about how luck is a part of life.
Right.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah, I put no faith in our fellow citizens.
The worst he's going to do is start World War III. And we were inevitably going to go that way anyway.
Wow, that's dark.
Oh, the worst he's going to do is potentially get us all killed.
Chris, if you don't think we were heading that way anyway, you're sadly mistaken, my friend.
Well, he ain't going to start shit. It's already been started, in my opinion. It's in Syria. Shit's already started.
It started before Syria. It started with Iraq in 2000. Well, in 2002.
3.
Yeah.
1991? What? Huh?
Well, yeah, there is that also.
But I mean, sitting there putting sanctions on North Korea about nuclear weapons, putting sanctions on Iran for nuclear weapons and everything else. It's been said so much, and I have a bachelor's in history, so I can contest to this. We are such a young nation, so much so that it is asinine to me that we go to the Middle East and other countries and say, this is the way to do it because it's our way and it's the best way. No, motherfucker, that's the American way. Shut up. You haven't been around long enough to know what happens. We have.
Right. I'm not a fan of trying to export democracy.
If
you really think that democracy is the best thing for a nation, then run your own nation, do it better than anyone else, and lead by example.
Exactly.
And other nations will follow a successful model if they're able to.
We are the only country in the world that has a two-party system. Does that tell you anything? It's not because it's the best.
Well, we also all the time think we're a democracy and we're really a republic.
All right. We're going to be here all night, aren't we?
Yeah.
Like, how far do we want to break this one down?
No, so to get back to the point of why I voted for Trump, because I'm tired of the political machine. I'm tired of people going, well, I'm for you, I fought for you, but damn House of Representatives, and then this Congress, well, we tried, but the president, well, I tried, but Congress,
Right.
Fuck that.
Well, that's why.
It's done.
That's why.
But that's how the system's built, though. It's built with checks and balances.
No, it's not. No, it's
Yes,
not.
it is.
Don't
What are you talking about?
go there. Not throw out words that you don't know what you're talking about. Checks and balances. It's not that.
Explain yourself.
It is a misuse of power from president, Congress, governors, anything you want it to be. It is a misuse of power. It is not to stop progress. And it is not to stop helping the people of this country. Don't tell me that checks and balances are there to sit there and create turmoil and put a deadlock on D.C., because it isn't.
Well, that's the idiots we put in the checks and balances system. That's the problem.
No, they're not idiots. They're sitting there causing a gridlock in D.C., and meanwhile, they're getting their pockets filled by the special interest groups. We're sitting here suffering because there's a gridlock in D.C.
The system is built for all three branches to check each other. That's how it's built. So what's your alternative?
It was built that way. It's not that way anymore.
Because it's the fucking idiots we keep putting in the system.
It's not the idiots that we keep putting in the system. People
You can
allow
have the greatest system in the world, but if it's built with shit parts, what's the matter?
Well, right, but we're too lazy to follow up on anything. We go, I elected the guy who said he was going to do the right thing, so my job's done. See you guys in 4 years.
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
That's how you put a politician in a position to say, well, sure, I can take this money from this special interest group because who's really going to call me on this? Everybody else is doing it, and nobody's really paying attention to what I'm doing in the long run anyway. None of my voters back home.
Well, and the corruption is run rampant through DC because you put things on earmarks and you piggyback bills. And I thought I was passing legalizing marijuana. How come I can no longer roll my windows down? What are you talking about?
Well, the other part too is we only fucking participate when we're electing the fucking quarterback of the football team. You know, there are elections every 2 years. We always seem to forget about that. You could argue that the midterm elections are more important than the presidential election, quite honestly, because those are the fools making the laws. But no, we only care about the star of the show every 4 years. Right,
and it's like I told Rich, people will care when it's convenient for them to care. When it fucks with their comfy, they're not going to care. I ain't got time for that. I got things to do. But when it doesn't fuck with their comfy, when it doesn't take out of their blessed full day, they'll pay full attention.
Well, that's why, Earl, you're kind of backing up my point of why I think the revolution you're hoping for won't happen. Because that's how we operate as a group now in the United States.
See? And you're right. And I would say 20, 30, 40, 30 years ago, it wouldn't have happened. 100% wouldn't have happened. Dad's got to go make money. Sorry. Got to drive a Cadillac.
Because now you don't have to go to Washington. You know, you don't have to go to the Washington Mall. You don't have to take to the streets now. I used a hashtag. We're good. There's my activism.
You're right. But nowadays, back then, poverty level was just, it was just, the poor. People who made the decision, hey, I'm going to be poor in this life. Now it's risen to include the middle class and part of the upper class, where you have to make the $250,000 a year just to break even.
Well, that's what you get when you only vote every 4 years.
See, so you got most of America in that.
If you voted every 2 years, shit might be a little different.
You're preaching to the choir, but I'm telling you how shit is. You've included most of America under the poverty line. And if shit doesn't change, and quick, they're going to be left with no fucking choice but to revolt.
Well, if we keep putting the people in power who keep fucking us, it's our fault, quite honestly. If we're not doing our homework, if we're not researching who we're voting for, if we don't know everything about the people we're putting into power, and they continually fuck us, it's our fault.
And that's why the 45th president is named Trump and not Clinton.
I'll give you that one.
Because we already tried President Clinton once.
But at the same time,
don't you think Zuckerberg's to blame for this one?
What?
Yeah, spreading all that fake news.
Yeah. Fucking Fuckerberg. It's his fault.
Coming to the CW this fall. You've been zucked.
Yeah, I know, right?
You fucking cock.
Pictures of people being evicted from their homes.
speaking. Okay, by saying zucked, I've noticed the rise online of the insult. You're a cuck. Is this the stupidest thing since haters, or is it just me?
No, I'm with you. First of all,
beta?
Sometimes they do a mixture of the two. You're a beta cuck.
Yeah.
It's just it's the best insult we got.
Whatever happened to calling people a good old fashioned asshole?
I miss those days.
Yeah, back when I could unabatedly just call you a shithead. And you got the point.
No, now you have to qualify it. You Trump supporting alt-right cuck, or no, Trump supporting alt-right asshole, or you gender fluid, non-binary, cisgendered shitlord.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the conceit is that people who let other people fuck their wives or girlfriends are weak, which, I mean,
maybe they're just tired.
Get. What does it have to write?
Private contracting.
Right.
Let someone else do it. It's the American way, right?
No, you're
outsourcing.
You're just getting off on some kinky shit. Like, I don't know.
You just created real life porn. What the problem is?
Yeah, fuck your VR. I have my private show.
Yeah, I don't have to have this fucking.
Start my own life.
I can reach out and grab the titty.
Well,
yeah, I don't have to have this fucking Do the Evolution headset on. I can fucking just go ahead and.
It's like most weird kinky things.
Works, I can drink it.
It's a power play that works on both sides. It's like BDSM. You know, like, okay, yeah, there's definitely an aspect of the man putting himself in a submissive role because he's, somebody else is fucking his wife. But also, if the man knows about it, well, there's a power play there too. Like, yeah, go ahead. I can send my wife out and fuck some black guy, and I know she's still gonna come back to me. Fuck you.
Yeah.
See, now I'm gonna give you.
I got a full DVR. I got shit to do tonight. You fucker.
Yeah, or maybe you got something on the side.
I'll give you a quick history lesson.
Yes.
Since you brought it up, Chris. In 1991, who was president?
Bush.
Herbert Walker.
Right. Okay. Now, who was the Secretary of Defense?
In 91.
Dick Cheney. Dick Cheney.
91 when that Dick Cheney, right. Yeah.
Who was the 5-star general of the Army?
Schwarzkopf.
No.
There was no 5-star general in 91.
Powell.
Powell was not a 5-star general. He's a 4-star general.
4-star general.
Boom.
Right.
Haven't had a 5-star general since Patton, dipshit.
Right.
Oh.
Where did we invade?
Glad. Hey, at Oakland University history fucking
Oh shit!
degrees paying off.
History slam right here on the Unregimented.
Yeah, it was mainly in Germany, but still. All right. So where did we invade?
Kuwait? Were we protecting Kuwait?
We were protecting Kuwait. We didn't go into Iraq, supposedly, at all.
Yeah.
We never were in Cambodia during Vietnam.
See there? So flash forward to 2003, right? Who's president?
W.
Bush. Who's vice president?
Cheney.
Who was Secretary of State?
Powell.
Colin Powell. Where did we invade?
Iraq.
Okay. Glad you're coming with me.
You're saying the obvious. Continue.
Okay, congratulations, you can repeat a Wikipedia page. Where are we going with this?
Well,
history is going to repeat itself if you don't change its course.
Right, yeah. The reason that the same things are happening over and over again is because we're electing the same fucking people.
No, the reason the 2003 invasion of Iraq happened is because that nigga tried to kill my father.
Get him!
Oil? What you talking about? Oil? You cooking something, bitch? Oil?
Something real?
All right.
Tried to kill my father, man.
Well,
Say word, son.
I guess we'll see if history continues to repeat itself next week.
Yeah, because I got to get up at 4 a.m.
I got to edit a podcast.
Nice. God damn it. All right. Have fun with this one, too.
No, it's good. Earl, man, come back anytime.
Yes, come back next week. Will you? Can you?
Look at that, Earl. You went from 0 to 2 podcasts in a year. Look at that. All right. Well, thanks everybody who's listened. Who has this one was fun, but it also felt like an endurance match for some reason. I don't know. But man, once again, December, another record month for downloads. So people apparently like it, and they're passing it on, and they're sharing it with your friends.
Even millennials are listening. As much as I talk shit about them, I love you. Hey, I know it's your mom and dad's fault. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's not your fault. You're special.
Hey,
We'll give you a trophy later.
We all jerk off to millennial porn.
Yeah, no, right?
It's true.
In real life. In real life.
Nobody can say they're useless.
Oh, that is a great note to end on. At Unregimented Pod on Twitter, at Unregimented on Instagram, and Unregimented at ChristopherEmail.net. If you want to fire an email back at us and tell us we're full of shit. But until then, thanks to everybody who has listened, and we'll catch you next week.
See ya.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, gents. I gotta bounce, man.
If you enjoy this show and want more people to know about it, head on over to iTunes, leave a comment, and rate it 5 stars. Make sure you like and share us on Facebook, and don't forget to follow us on Twitter. Just search for Christopher Media. Thank you in advance for supporting Christopher Media by clicking on the PayPal button and by clicking through to all the sponsors who support ChristopherMedia.net. Most importantly, we would like to take the time to extend an extra special thanks to you. Christopher Media could not exist without your support. Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net, and thank you for listening. Christopher Media. Let's make some noise. Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.